My family's from Mexico, and while I was a host at a restaurant back in the day, I would get bored and I would Google folklore. And I came upon this spooky story from Chihuahua, Mexico, where there's a small bridal shop on an unassuming street corner that is home to a window display that has fascinated and terrified onlookers for almost a century. The bridal store, called La Popular, is also known as La Casa de Pascualita, which is the name of the mannequin whose scarily realistic facade and strange origin myth have made her infamous around the world. La Pascualita first appeared in the window on March 25th, 1930, shortly after the owner, Pascuala Esparza, lost her daughter in a tragic and premature fashion. Legend has it her daughter died on what was supposed to be her wedding day, wildly, after being bitten by a black widow. Usually black widows kill like their husbands, and now a bride. Those who saw the new mannequin found it eerie how much the doll resembled the owner's recently deceased daughter. So much that there was speculation it was actually the young bride's preserved corpse.
I feel like that's very rude. First of all, this mom is going through a lot and they're like, hey, this doll kind of looks like your dead daughter. Okay. All right, thanks.
Did you put your daughter as the mannequin?
Yeah, right, like, no.
Yeah. Those who worked in the store also have reported that there is something uncanny about La Pascualita. Sonia Burciaga, who changed the mannequin's outfits twice a week in her time at the shop, told Ripley's, "Every time I go near Pascualita, my hands break out in a sweat."
No.
Her hands are very realistic, and she even has varicose veins on her legs. I believe she's a real person. In fact, the varicose veins that reportedly can be seen on La Pascualita's legs are said to be comparable to those found on real preserved corpses, such as former communist leaders Vladimir Lenin and Mao Zedong, who were both embalmed for the public. Visitors have claimed her incredible lifelike glassy eyes follow them in the store.
Ooh.
Imagine.
No.
She's watching. She's always watching. Her shifty nature has also given birth to rumors that she changes positions when no one is looking. Her hands have so much detail that it feels almost impossible to fake. And her fingers display slight signs of decay that would actually happen on a mummy. Like, you see how the color is? And the nails just look so real.
Yeah.
But since the mannequin is over 90 years old, decay from sun exposure is natural, and Mexico's warm climate would likely have caused far more damage to even the most well-preserved corpse than she exhibits.
Right.
Skeptics believe that the attention to detail could just be a marker of great craftsmanship. The store's current owner is unrelated to the Esparza family and seems to profit off the attention and business her infamy brings to the store. And with written records being relatively scarce, some say it's nearly impossible to prove that the mother or daughter ever existed, making this legend precisely that. So we don't even know if these people are real.
Right.
I'd like to think so.
So I'm originally from Miami. I grew up there, but I recently heard about this story about this creepy man from Florida, from Key West to be exact.
A creepy man in Florida? Who
I
would have known?
I know. This story is not a myth. It's disturbingly true, and it begins with a man named Karl Tanzler, who was born in 1877 in Dresden, Germany. Tanzler was a curious child whose favorite subjects included science and astronomy. His curiosity set him on a journey around the world, traveling through India, Australia, and Cuba, and in February of 1926, he moved to Zephyr Hills, Florida. Tanzler's wife and 2 daughters immigrated from Germany to live with him, but he quickly abandoned them to live in the Florida Keys, where he changed his name to Count Karl von Cosel, and found work as an X-ray technician and bacteriologist at a U.S. Marine hospital located in Key West. So reportedly, Tanzler told those he worked with that they could call him Dr. Karl von Cosel. He also claimed to have 9 university degrees and to have worked as a submarine captain and successful inventor. And there's obviously no evidence for any of that.
Okay, so it's like a catch me if you can situation.
Yeah. In 1930, Tanzler came across a girl 30 years his junior whom he was instantly convinced was meant to be his one true love. Based on a prophecy he heard as a child from an alleged Italian ancestor, the Countess Antonia von Cosel, who had told him he was meant to be with a dark-haired, exotic beauty. which is problematic in itself.
Problematic.
Exotic. Come on. When Maria Elena Milagro de Hoyos, a 21-year-old Cuban-American, walked into the hospital, he knew he had found her. Elena, as she was known by her friends and family, had worked briefly in the entertainment industry and had married by the age of 16. She never technically divorced, but her marriage was short-lived. Her husband left her and moved to Miami after she miscarried what would be their first child. At the hospital, Elena was tragically diagnosed with tuberculosis, a disease which prior to the invention of a vaccine was most often a death sentence. An obsessed counselor attempted to cure her in manners intrusive to her family, and in some cases were downright illegal, like considering he wasn't actually a doctor.
That part. No.
Yeah, that part.
Don't you just hate when a guy says he's a doctor and he'll kill you and then he's not actually a doctor?
And you get tuberculosis.
And you have tuberculosis?
And there's no vaccine. He stole hospital equipment to bring to her home, where he administered her homemade treatments, herbs, and tonics. He also showered her with gifts and proposed marriage to her several times over the next year, which she declined politely. Each time, she used an excuse that she was still technically married. So there is no evidence that she reciprocated feelings for the lovelorn fake doctor and fake count. So he was a creep.
He was crazy. I love that even she was like, even on my deathbed, I am dying of tuberculosis. You are proposing to me X amount of times. I'm still saying no.
Yeah.
Like that kind of says a lot.
Yeah. I feel like that's the hint.
That's the hint. Take the hint.
Elena died of complications of her disease a year later on October 25th, 1931. Tonsler once again overstepped, funding the construction of an above-ground mausoleum to house her body. Her family accepted this offer, though continued to think him an absolute creep.
Wow. Yeah, no, that's creepy. That is also like weird obsession. Like,
yeah, we're getting there.
She's dead.
They knew he visited her grave in the cemetery every night, but they did not know that he was the only person with a key to enter the tomb.
Oh no. Oh no. I don't think I like where this is heading.
Yeah. He even had a telephone line installed in the mausoleum so they could speak when he wasn't there.
What?
Within 2 years of Elena's death, Tonsler's erratic behavior got him fired. Around the same time, her family were surprised to learn he suddenly stopped visiting her. They couldn't know that in April of 1933, under the cover of darkness, he took her body from the mausoleum, bringing it home in a child's toy wagon. He would later say Elena had told him to do it, and she finally accepted his marriage proposal. No longer wanting to be trapped in the stone building, Tonsler proceeded to preserve her rotting corpse as best he could, filling her internal cavities with rags and securing her bones together with wire hangers. He used mortician's wax and plaster of Paris to try to repair her skin, replaced her scalp with real hair, and filled her eyes with glass. Perhaps most disturbingly, he used a paper tube to recreate her sexual organs, and a later autopsy suggested he performed acts of necrophilia on her corpse.
That's what I was afraid of. That's what I was like, I don't like where this is headed. And we went there.
He did. Yeah, he did.
He did, not us, of course.
But don't worry. He installed a privacy curtain for her in the marital bed they shared for the next 7 years.
Okay, yeah, this guy must have reeked. Like, what the heck? That's disgusting.
Many in the small town found it suspicious that the bachelor was constantly buying women's clothing and perfumes, which he used in ample supply in addition to disinfectant to hide the scent of her decaying body. I love it how people are like, oh, he's buying women's clothing, that's suspicious, not he's buying all this embalming.
That's also a good point.
Products, like
they were like, oh, he's buying embalming mortician stuff?
That's fine. So rumors began to spread even more widely when a neighbor saw Tonsler dancing with what seemed to be a life-size doll from a window. Can you imagine being that neighbor? Like you're just, nice coffee, looking out the window.
Yeah, your cafecito. Because they're in Florida, right? So it's probably a Cuban or some other Latino that's in Miami, and they're just sitting there on their porch with their cafecito, and they look out like, it's starting to smell bad. Who is he dancing with over there?
That's a big doll.
It's a big doll.
Where'd you get that?
Why is he dancing with the doll?
By October 1940, Elena's sister's suspicions were no longer ignorable, and she went over to his house to confront him, and that's where she discovered her sister's body. The police arrested him for wantonly and maliciously destroying a grave and removing a body without authorization. The scandal garnered national attention, and wildly, many people at the time, especially women, were sympathetic to Tonsler, framing him as a tragic romantic rather than an absolute creep, which, in my opinion, he was the biggest creep of all time. He ultimately went free because the statute of limitations for his crime had passed, since he technically committed the grave robbing many years before at this point. A free man, Tonsler had the audacity to ask for Elena's body back. And while there seemed to be a lot of excuses made for this man's madness, luckily the court refused him.
Oh, thank God. Finally, someone's got some sense in this house.
Denied, he threw a giant temper tantrum and blew up the original mausoleum he built with dynamite.
No.
But don't worry, Elena wasn't in it.
Oh my God, I didn't even think about that. I was like, how dare he?
Rather, because this is Florida, Elena's body had been placed in a local funeral home for public display.
Oh God.
Yeah. Where reportedly as many as 6,800 visitors came to see the famous corpse bride's decaying body for a mere $1 fee.
$1?
Yeah. Eventually, she was moved to an unmarked grave so that Tonsler could not find her. Tonsler moved back to Zephyr Hills in poverty and relative disgrace, living near his daughter and wife.
Remember them? Throwback.
Yeah. They supported him for the rest of his life. So when Tonsler died on July 3rd of 1952, it took 3 weeks for anyone to find him.
Karma.
Disturbingly, but perhaps unsurprisingly, he was said to be clutching a life-size effigy, wearing a plaster death mask of Elena's face.
Oh my God, talk about, we all freaking out about Joe from You. What about this Tonsler man?
Yeah.
This is the OG.
Tonsler was also buried in an unmarked grave, ironically, out of fear of it being tampered with in the future. Which is, come on, really?
I feel like it kind of, I would say you deserve to be tampered with.
Right, I would have put a sign, be like, this is Tonsler the creep.
As a newly engaged person, how do these stories make you feel?
I mean, it's definitely not gonna be any inspo for my Pinterest board, but it's kind of creepy, very creepy.
Do you know any other legends that share the name of Corpse Bride? Let us know in the comments.
Also, what scary stories or legends did you grow up with that you'd like us to cover? We can't wait to dive in next time.